I don't know, is it a taboo? Do you find it a taboo? Where are these leaders who live this way? Because the moment I started talking more openly about my own aligned ambitious journey, I actually found quite some people who do it this way, or who are trying at least to do it, who are making changes to make this happen. But it's not something we're usually proud of telling, because you might come across as lazy or not ambitious enough, or I don't know, what would your investors or your board or your manager think? And that's why it's time to change that narrative. Because especially when the other voices are getting so loud around the grind and the hustle, and that's what we promote in many of the entrepreneurial podcasts, of the only way to do it, it's time to show that there's a different way to do things. Welcome at the Aligned and Ambitious podcast, episode number 1. And I'm super excited that you're here today at the very start of this podcast journey, where we're jointly going to explore what aligned ambitious actually means. Maybe to start off straight away with that, I don't give a straight definition of what aligned ambitious means, because it will really depend on what it means to you. We're going to talk about that more later. But in this total journey of this podcast, we're going to talk with role models about their own life and career, perhaps company, and how they act as leaders or as a professional, moving most often from just being ambitious to now embodying, living, feeling aligned and ambitious. That's what we're going to do from episode 2 and onwards. But today we're just going to quickly start with introducing myself as your host for the upcoming shows, as well as talking a bit about why this is needed in today's society. So let me start off with that I'm Floor Buitelaar, your host, as I just said, for the upcoming episodes. And I'm the founder of the alignedambitious.com platform, and therefore also of this podcast. Next to alignedambitious.com, I'm the founder and leader of Bright Green Partners, food tech experts, businesses in agri-food tech. I've been an entrepreneur now for the last 7 years, and I can tell it's been quite a journey. More you can find on that on alignedambitious.com, and why that triggered me to start alignedambitious.com. But I will record in another episode a deeper conversation about my own version of the aligned ambitious life, what triggered me to create this lifestyle, and all the challenges that came with that. What is relevant today to talk about is that, at least in the conversations that I've been having with many founders, with friends and entrepreneurs around me, with even my family full of entrepreneurs, with so many people that I talk to in the business setup, but also in personal setup nowadays, is the challenge to actually create a version of success or ambition while also being true to yourself. I see so many people experiencing burnout, or not feeling happy, or not having energy anymore. Sometimes they're quite successful. Other times they're also not, because of the lack of these energies or excitements, or even feeling of purpose or direction. And that has been one of the starting points to aligned ambitious, I would say. Because I see this as almost an epidemic, you could call, in our today's society, of problems that we have around the mental and human aspect, I would almost call it, in business. You learn so much in, for example, business school, where I've been to for, I think, 5.5 or 6 years, about how to become a leader, how to do business, how to do marketing, how to do finance, accounting, and so on and so on. All the more like soft and hard skills to run a business and to be a professional leader, but not to actually be an aligned leader or entrepreneur or professional. It doesn't really matter. You don't per se have to be a leader. And then there are books and podcasts, and there's so much inspiration about the business side of all of this. But what about the human side in business? Where did that go to? That's exactly why we have Aligned Ambitious, where that comes together. Here in this episode, and their podcasts that we will be launching over the coming weeks, months, years, I hope, as well as on the platform itself, alignedambitious.com. Especially today, I think this is even much more needed with the whole AI dynamics on the one hand, and I would call it harsh society that we have on the other hand ongoing. I see many trends around grind, hustle. 996 is a big trend in the US at the moment. For those of you who don't know it, it's about like working from 9 to 9, 6 days a week, which seems quite the opposite of the direction that we wanted to go, especially in the whole AI world where, well, tasks that usually people don't want to do anymore could potentially be outsourced and would give people free time back to feel more aligned and to live more intentionally relaxed and with what you truly find important. So, whereas on the one hand, there are trends and directions ongoing where we could potentially live a more aligned, ambitious lifestyle way, I see that this is not really the direction we're practically going to. Yet, again, to what I mentioned earlier, in the conversations I had, I felt so many people who feel the need to this. I'm sure if you're listening, you also feel the need to create some kind of version, but we don't see it. It's something that's, I don't know, is it a taboo? Do you find it a taboo? Where are these leaders who live this way? Because the moment I started talking more openly about my own aligned, ambitious journey, I actually found quite some people who do it this way, or who are trying at least to do it, or making changes to make this happen. But it's not something we're usually proud of telling because you might come across as lazy or not ambitious enough, or I don't know, what would your investors or your board or your manager think? And that's why it's time to change that narrative, because especially when the other voices are getting so loud around the grind and the hustle, and that's what we promote in many of the entrepreneurial podcasts of the only way to do it, it's time to show that there's a different way to do things. And you can be successful, you can be ambitious. I'm the one proof living model, but there are way more role models, even with more, way better successes than the little successes that I had, that we're gonna hear from, that we're gonna learn from, and hopefully feel inspired by. So that's really my intention for the Aligned Ambitious podcast. Now, for the listeners, the early listeners here on the podcast, I would love for you to be engaged with this, to share the topics you would love to learn about. Perhaps there are people you find inspiring and you would love to hear the deeper background story from them. Drop them in their comments here in Spotify or Apple Podcasts or in TikTok, wherever you're listening. It can also be on LinkedIn or through email, community@alignedambitious.com. In short, I would love for you to be engaged and to share with us what you would love to hear, the people you would like to be interviewed and hear from. But for now, I would like to close with one thing, and that is a prompt. Every week, every time we record a podcast, we're going to end with a prompt to make it very tangible for you also, because there's one part about inspiration, there's another part about action. I've learned myself that's the only way to actually get results, tangible and ready. So the prompt of this week is, what does aligned ambitious mean to you? Also here, I'm really excited what comes up, what you think it means. And again, there's no bad or wrong answer you can give. There's only your answer and your version of it. And I can already tell you it's going to change even over time, or the more you get into being aligned ambitious, it's going to be perhaps even more, I don't know, bold. I don't know what will come up with you, but I feel like it's also a starting point of a journey for you. So I would love to hear from you, and I would love to hear or see you back in the next episode. Stay tuned. Next week, we're going to talk with Nadia Kadim, one of my dear friends and entrepreneurs in the tech world. So more on that in the upcoming episode number 2. Thank you for listening.